I met a student yesterday. She asked me a very important question. Sir, how do I increase my scores? I feel like I have read everything. I'm confident about my knowledge, but even then, my scores are not improving. I gave her the perfect solution. I told her my own story. As I teach, I try hard to keep the wheel of learning going. In March this year, I decided to get some new degrees and diplomas in order to tone my own learning and skills further. As you know, I keep talking about the importance of courses and diplomas for students. So I also went ahead and decided to write this one exam, Diploma in Banking and Finance, or popularly called as DBF. I didn't want to study for it because I knew that I've already read and taught most of it to my students preparing for RBI Grade B. But I really wanted to have a reality check as to how well can I perform. As a teacher, it often becomes difficult to measure your own performance. This felt like the right move to me. I also wanted to bring back the questions and answers so that I could answer them or I could discuss them with my own students. Well, I wanted a lot of things from this one exam, but that's okay. So coming back to it, in June, I think I went and wrote the exam. There were a total of 4 papers. There is this one paper I specifically remember. It's called Indian Economy and Indian Financial System. It's actually exactly what is asked in RBI exam, nothing more. So I was confident that I will do it well. Well, one night before this exam, I clearly remember I went out for a party, came back very late at probably 4 or 5 a.m. and everybody who was with me was telling me, now you're going to miss tomorrow's exam. And I told them, no, I'll get up at 9 and I'll be there by 9:30 or 10 and I'll be there for the exam. I was completely exhausted. I slept for a while and somehow eventually got up at 9 and went and wrote the exam. When I reached there, I felt like I'm completely zoned out. My brain is not working, my eyes are not working properly. Lack of sleep and too much party had actually exhausted my mind and my body. So age was getting on to me. So what happened was, anyhow, I went in to write the exam, and as I told you earlier, I also wanted to copy all the questions and answers so that I could later discuss them with my students. Because I was trying to do so many things together and my mind was already unfocused. Remember this word, unfocused and focus. I felt like I'm unable to get to the correct answers. I was struggling with the paper. Despite being a teacher of Indian economy and Indian financial system for so long, it was really struggling that day. Eventually, my scores spoke it aloud. I scored just 45 out of 100. To tell you the truth, I was disappointed with my performance. I actually started questioning my own ability to teach. I started asking myself, if you can't score decently in this one exam, are you really qualified to teach others? Or are you playing with others' lives? I took this burden on myself for a very long time. But after a while, I decided that I need to write this one exam again because it was not my day. And I thought, well, don't be too hard on yourself. Let's give it another shot and see where do you actually stand. I did not do any new reading or anything else. And I wanted to see that based upon my present knowledge, can I actually score well? I wanted to know where do I actually stand. So I went again in October to write the same exam for improvement. This time I made some changes, but there were 2 big things that I did. Number 1, I did not copy any questions or answers. And number 2, I'll tell you the second thing very shortly. So this time, as I said, I did not copy any questions and answers. Therefore, I focused completely on attempting the questions without any concern for what's happening otherwise in my life. I tried to find my focus. I could actually eventually feel the rhythm of the exam in my mind. One after the other, I could see where the traps lay in every question. I could clearly identify why option A is incorrect, option B is likely correct, but option C is the best one. So I could see the subtle variations in those options where normally students get trapped. I felt like my skills were actually coming alive again. But it was all focus. It was mindset. It wasn't merely knowledge. I had not read one extra word from last attempt, and yet the focus and the mindset I was carrying that day made a huge difference. This was the second change. I pushed myself to find my focus in the exam so that I could forget everything, and I made it everything other than that exam, and simply focus on one question at a time. Now, this focus is not easy to find, and you will, as a student, struggle to find it, but with practice, with habit, you can actually create it. Can you guess finally how much I scored that day? You will be surprised. With no extra practice, with no extra reading, nothing at all, my score jumped from 45 to 80 out of 100. It was probably one of the highest scores in India in this subject in this attempt. That day, I realized how important focus and mindset can be. So if your scores are not improving, it might not be lack of knowledge. It might be lack of confidence, lack of focus, and lack of right mindset. It might be that you panic every time you enter the exam hall, and that little small subtle panic actually affects your performance. In this panic, you can't differentiate between a likely option and the best option. And that will eventually make all the difference. That did make a big difference in my case. And I know it does make a lot of difference in a lot of students' cases as well. So if you want to be your best, if you want to ace this exam, focus on your mindset as well. Do not take it lightly. Focus on your ability to perform your best in every mock. Do not merely focus on studying more each day. Start applying that knowledge correctly and smartly every day. Because when you start doing it, it will become a new habit. And this habit will take you ahead in life. All the best.